I'm here to give, as like an indigenous contractor, I took an indigenous company and I want to pass and explain Nigerian content law and how we're going through various stages and various projects. I highlighted three things: the challenges, advantages, the role of the government on the impact of the law, and also the insights of the law. I used the case study of a Nigerian contractor on a very big project in Nigeria. Okay, I'll pass the slides very fast because there's some slides that NS Wampa and Okeke and the other people in the morning stated. As we all know, Nigerian content is building capacity in the short term or long term, but there's a room for negotiation on how far we can go for it. Okay, the roles of stakeholders in the local content, you see you need the government, you need the oil companies, you need the oil servicing companies. You're looking at the local private sectors, education is one sector, and you need the banks and the insurance to finance any project. Okay, Nigerian content key factors. These 4 factors are necessary to drive the Nigerian content in Nigeria. You look at the human resources, you need base facilities and infrastructure, you need materials and manufacture. We don't really have manufacturing companies in Nigeria because we lack the materials. So we need to import them most times. And lastly, institutions and systems. Okay, the Nigerian Content Act, Mr. Wampa and others talked about it, was passed in 2010. The act is to achieve the following: develop the Nigerian content in the oil and gas sector, encouraging the Nigerian content. NCD is a vehicle for delivery. You're also monitoring using the Nigerian Monthly Board, or because the Nigerian Content Act, that's why the board was set up. Supervising of the Nigerian content, monitoring of the Nigerian content, as I already said, implementation of the Nigerian Content Act. Okay? These are the advantages of the Nigerian Content Act as a contractor's view. We're growing the local capacity while handling various projects. This is going to be a positive impact on various Nigerian insurance companies because before, I think the banks and the insurance companies, most contractors go outside to have dealings with them. But since the local content law was passed, you have to pass through a Nigerian financial institution. Okay. Also, the advantage: transfer technology high, mid, and low manpower level, creating employment to Nigerian professionals. The multiplier effect on the Nigerian economy is an improvement in national security. Also, I'll have to skip this part. This slide talks about the Nigerian content, the Nigerian content fund, in which Mr. Wampa has talked about, and the new websites that the NCD brought up, and exactly how you can go on it and fill in your data as contractors. These are the objectives of the local content, Nigerian content law. The objective, the first one is to set up major opportunities to be desired in Nigeria. Most times if you want to train, you have to fly out to do your trainings. But I think now, one of the objectives, the training should be done in-house. Establishing of 3 to 4 pipe mills. We're already seeing SCC mills coming upstream. Dockyards development to be in Nigeria. The objective, first of all, is not to drive away multinational companies, is to bring up investments in Nigeria. Also, promote indigenous companies and manpower. Promote local made in Nigerian goods, because really we don't really trust our Nigerian made goods. The Nigerian oil and gas upstream and downstream companies should comply with the terms, or else their permits or license will be seized. Okay, these are the host government's expectations after passing the law. They expect from the oil servicing company and the international oil companies employing our Nigerian youths, building a local content, a local supply chain, passing technology transfer, trying to set up a local refinery, because in Nigeria, most of all our refineries are not really functioning. and get gas for them domestic use. Okay, this part, people in Nigeria should be used to this, the IOCs and the contractors, because the Nigerian Content Act was passed, and you need like a measurement tool to monitor exactly how exactly everybody's performing. So we normally write a Nigerian content plan before any project. Okay, compliance reports, sometimes it depends on the board and depends on the operator. You can tell the contractor that every quarterly I need the compliance reports. They give you exactly what they want to see in the compliance report and see whether you're okay complying with the local content rules before they get in touch with the board. And the NCD performance report is always done by IOCs, because every beginning of every year, an IOC has to tell the government the review of the past year on the local government achievements and project for the future year coming. Okay, every problem always has, everything always has an advantage and disadvantage. I think a contractor right now, we face these challenges. There's a debt to the human capacity. We don't really have a strong local capacity to do some special goods in Nigeria. Like, for example, we don't really have a diver or a subsea engineer in Nigeria. So if you give a project to a company, it takes a longer lifespan to execute the contract, because in the local content bill, it's written that you need to pass a knowledge, so it takes a longer time. Okay, and that's one of the disadvantages. The lifespan of projects might be too short for effective transfer of technology. We still have infrastructural challenges. People have talked about it. We don't have steady electricity, so manufacturing is a bit slow. So that's why supply will take a lot of time, because roads and some others are bad in Nigeria, and we're trying to upgrade all that. And sparsity of funds for projects in the energy sector is very, very hard. It's very, very hard for some contractors to go to a bank to get a loan. I think that's why a monetary fund is there, but not all Nigerian companies can go to that fund to access that loan. So I think that's a part. If NS was here, I would have asked him that. The fund for projects is a bit of a big challenge for local contractors in Nigeria. Okay, I went straight to this. This is where I want to start my presentation. I used SIPEM as a case study. I don't work for them, don't worry. I used SIPEM as a case study because they have established a very strong hold of local content even before it was passed in Nigeria. This is USAN project, and everybody knows USAN project. It's run by ELF, that's Total Exploration Nigeria. The contract was given in March 2008, and a water depth of 800 meters, and they achieved the first oil this year in February. The contracts given to SIPEM was an EPCI contract, a deep offshore, engineering procurement, fabrication and installation. The scope of work was to get flow lines 65 kilometers, 8 manifolds, 27 of 3D spools and jumpers, 20 meters of height, risers, umbilicals, all loading terminals, that's single point Boeing moil, 2 times 2 kilometers steel or flowing lines, and also 16 FPSO suction anchors. I think this was the achievement during the USAN project for SIPEM. For project success, they had 9.3 million man-hours without LTI, and that's very large. They have pre-commissioned various facilities without no leakage, and that's a good success. The first oil was achieved without any LTI in February this year. Okay, if you look at the actual cumulative man-hours, you'll notice that the project's management and procurement in Nigeria, including site provision and logistics, was over 1 million. The execution of 173 man-hours of detailed and construction engineering in Nigeria was over 300,000. Fabrication in country in Nigeria was more than 4 million. Training was 69,000. The total accumulated man-hour was above 6 million, and that's a good achievement. If you look at the Nigerian personnel used on the USAN project, so it's more than 1,000. The total fab tonnage was 20,000 tonnage. So they achieved 75% local content in USAN projects. Okay, I brought some pictures of various fabrications and assembly done in Nigeria. This is one part of USAN piles. This is their fabrication area that you were used to make the piles in Port Harcourt. If you see all the pictures, it's the spools. This is in the yard. The SPM boil, the problem with this boil, it was assembled in country. It was not fabricated in Nigeria. And that's why they didn't achieve 100% local content. This was not done in Nigeria. It was assembled in Nigeria. Okay, this was in July when it was painted. This was when they were saying they were the piles for the USAN project. These are various FPSO and various vessels used to install various fabricated on the facilities. Okay, before I round up, this 95% fabrication was done in country. In 2008, that before the local content law was passed in 2010, they already put a high mark on Nigerian content for themselves. So that's a good company to really look out for. The entire flow lines, the risers, the export boyo was done in Saipem Yard in Port Harcourt. The pictures are there to prove it. But the only challenge, as I earlier said, why they couldn't achieve the 100% was that they didn't have the technical know-how, so they had to bring in the boyo, export boyo, for the project. So that's why it was 95%. So in conclusion, I do feel in Nigerian content, all companies, all contractors, be busy and never give up. I think you bring your people to invest in training, bring the best technical know-how to the country, Nigeria, and you get the best local potential if they're well trained. Nigerian content is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time for us to get there. If we rush there, we'll make a lot of mistakes. Think long term and begin act now. Thanks a lot.